Hey everyone, it's Sal at SJM Industries again, and it's Saturday, January 24th, and it's the day before Ice Mageddon 2026. I've been forecasting all week some significant ice accumulations and everything shutting down. Um, and we'll see. I think a lot of us are wondering just how much is it going to be. Is it going to be a little bit of ice or rain or a lot of ice? But anyway, today I want to jump back on a project that's kind of stalled out. Some of you have been asking about this blue car up on the left. It's actually a 1980 or 81 Fiat X1. It's got a great story. I bought it from the original owner, a great guy called Roger, named Roger, lives up in North Georgia. He drove it for a while, and then the timing belt broke. And when timing belts break on Fiats, uh, bad things start to happen. Pistons and valves start to hit each other. So that all happened, and he pulled the engine out. He had the head rebuilt, and then it sat there in his garage with the engine out, sitting on the floor. By estimate of 15 years, based on receipts and some historical documents I was able to find. So I got it, trailered it home, added to my growing Fiat obsession. I've now have 4 Fiats, which I'll talk about at some other point, and put the engine together, did some mild rebuild. I have the engine in the car, but there's some wiring and fuel lines and clutch lines and doodads and doohickeys that need to be connected. Um, a lot of the ugly work has been done. The fuel tank's been cleaned. So what I'm going to do today, unless the ice it just engulfs all of us and we're not able to do anything, I'm going to bring the car down off the lift. It's been up there for a couple months. Um, bring it down off the lift, and let's see if we can't get this little Fiat running today. The lift has been great. I also need to do a video on how we managed to get a lift in this small garage. It was quite an endeavor. You might notice that the roof on this is a vaulted roof, or vaulted ceiling, I should say. It wasn't like that when we bought the house. It had a conventional 9-foot drop ceiling, which I removed, insulated the roof, vaulted roof, and raised the height of the door tracks for the garage door. And lo and behold, a lift fits in here. In fact, it fits in really nicely. I can get 2 full-size cars onto the lift without really any issue. And obviously, for working on them, it's been great. All right, so we got the car down to the ground now. Let's take a quick walk around this little beast. All right, so you may be asking, what is this thing? Well, it's a Fiat Bertone X1. Model year is 1981. It was a mid-engined, or it is a mid-engined, fuel injected, 4-cylinder sports car, 2-seater. When I was a kid, my dad had one of these, and I always liked them because I thought they were cool. The top comes off, and you have yourself a Targa style. I just put, when I first got it, it was pretty filthy. Still is pretty dirty. But I cleaned it up a little bit, put some really cheap seat covers on it just for now. It's got a 5-speed manual transmission. In the front is just a hood space, like storage space for a spare tire and assorted parts. It's got pop-up headlights. So if you think about it, it's kind of a predecessor to the Fiero, which was also a mid-engine car. It's a miniature little exotic, if you want to call it that. Very small, not very fast. People do put all kinds of performance into these. I've seen them on the racetrack for vintage racetrack. So right now it's covered in dust. This is old Scout dust because I've been working on the International Scout while this is up on the left. So I'm going to blow it off, and then we'll get into the engine compartment and talk about what we find in there. All right, we're back. We're under the engine compartment, and you can see it's very clean because I had this engine completely disassembled, right down to the block. Um, new rings, new bearings, new seals, everything, new gaskets. Already have the new fuel filter. The gas tank was horrible with this thing. It had probably, lacquer or varnish, I should say, of 20 years of storage. So I have that all clean. So today what we're going to try to do is connect this and all these wires to where it corresponds on the engine. But before I do that, I'm going to do a little bit of footage from the rebuild, just going back in time. It's about 6 months ago, just so you can see the engine apart and a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit of the assembly of the engine. All right, we got new rings, hone the cylinders, new bearings, new rod bearings, new connecting bearings, crank bearings. Everything's installed and torqued, and it's smooth as butter. Smooth as butter. So next is going to be the head gasket and head. You'll notice that there's the dowels here and here. Placement of the head gasket's got to be absolutely clean. Put the head on, and then probably going to put the oil pump, oil pan, sort of have the short block all done tonight. So I flipped the engine back over again, put the oil pump on, new seal, checked the specs of the oil pump. It's good. I cleaned it. So that's good to go. Bottom end is sort of complete. Tomorrow I'm going to put the front cover with a new seal, the rear cover with a new rear main seal. Then I can put the oil pan. I've got quite a bit of cleaning up to do on these parts. You can see the old whatchamacallit, junk on there. And then, the rear main seal, I got new ones. And then once I get that done, I think I'll put the cam on and the lifters, which are here. And the rest is pretty much straightforward. Carburation, fuel injection, I should say. All of the distributor and everything else. So it's coming along. So that's going to be it for tonight. All right, you've got now a bird's eye view over the engine compartment, looking straight down. And now you got to remember, I did not take this engine out of the car. It was taken out by Roger many, many years ago. Very competent guy. He owned a couple classic cars, including a Model A Ford. And it was clear to me he had labeled everything. So I found a lot of stuff. So what it is now is kind of like magical wire alignment. Like you can start to see how this fuel injector wants to go to that fuel injector, that this is probably going to go, looks to me like it's going to have to go under this air intake. And then all the things start falling into place. Like you'll start noticing a plug here might line up with something sort of hanging out down here. And it's going to be some trial and error, and also looking online at pictures that I can find to determine exactly how this went. Same thing with the fuel lines, which you can see on this side. There's a hydraulic clutch line. There's going to be fuel lines. There's going to be vacuum lines. There's a whole air filter assembly that goes there. And then there's some things that I'm not quite sure if they're good anymore. This looks to me like some sort of vacuum container, canister, or filter, perhaps. But what I'll do for the next couple hours is try to get everything lined up and see if I can't get us to the point where we can put a little fuel in the tank, a battery in there, and start it up. So I'll be back after I've figured out some of this mess. So I bet many of you can relate to a situation where you start a project, you're really into it, and then that project gets set aside for one reason or another, maybe lack of parts, lack of money, lack of time, competing priorities. But the one thing that happens when you do that is you sort of put the car into a semi-vegetative state where you want to make sure you don't lose everything, but you don't want to look at it all laying around in your shop. So with this particular car, I'm now remembering that there's a lot of parts yet left to assemble. You can see air filter, coolant overflow. This, the digital looking monster, which I believe is the very important brain of the operation for the fuel injection. Cover popped off. That should be okay. A lot of vacuum lines, and then going up to the front of the car, we got even more pieces and parts here. Some of them are not equally identifiable. Others are a little bit easier to figure out what they are. So what I'm going to do now is lay everything out. I think I'm going to lay everything out on the lift, sort of as a staging area, so that I can see all the parts that need to go back into this car before it's going to even think about running again. So just to give you an idea, and some of the previous footage is going to show you that, but this car sat for a long time. This is the fuel pump, and you can see that's what the gas that was in the fuel system looked like when I took this apart. So that's got to be 20 years, 20 years plus of eventual fuel just going back to crude oil again. I guess that's what you would say. So we're going to continue digging into this. All right, guys, I have updates. The last 3 hours have been a little bit painful. I shouldn't say that. Just a lot of lot of undercar or overcar, tripping, falling, busting knuckles, scraping hands. But let me show you where I'm at. All right, we're looking up from underneath the car. It's up on the lift. Got the exhaust system in. The axles, the CV axles on both sides. All the connections, water lines, coolant. And you can see the car is very rust-free. Definitely not a northern car because it would be completely gone. But everything is very good. I'll probably clean it up a little bit more and touch it up in some spots with some flat black paint. But there's the shifter connector. Again, the axles. You can see the oil pan is brand new, or it looks like new because I redid it. So we are pretty much done on the bottom, and on top, just a few things that have to be finished off before we can try to see if we get spark. All right, we have updates. First of all, massive ice storm outside. We're running off generator right now. You can't quite see it, but there's about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice on everything, and got the generator over a year ago, and this is kind of the redemption tour after doing all that work. But anyhow, I've been tinkering with the Fiat a little bit and made a lot of progress, which I'm going to show you right now. You can see the ice buildup on the old cars. Good, pretty heavy duty. But the trees are holding up. There's one particular branch that is resting on the power line, but so far we're the whole town is out of power, but we're running the generator. So under the bonnet here, or under the hood, I've made all the connections. There's been a lot of connections, and I actually pulled wiring diagrams, and I think I got everything. And I'm at the point now where it's time to check for spark, which I have the key on, and I've got my lone wolf on, and you can see we got spark, which is really good news. So all that's left to do is put a little gas in it, and let's see if this thing cranks and starts up. Okay, so we're at the point now where put a little gas in here. I've got about 4 gallons of some gas that I think is going to be fine. It's ethanol free. I use it for the mower. And I'm going to have my fire extinguisher handy. I've had the tank out of this car. Oh, shoot. That was not good. It's got the little door there that doesn't open. Let me get a different funnel. All right, let's try that again. This one pushes open the little door. And I'm going to go nice and easy. Check for leaks. Like I said, I had the tank and all the hoses, the fuel pump, everything out. Stop there for a second to see if there's any leaks underneath. No leaks from the tank anyhow. Of course, there could be leaks once the fuel pump kicks on. Not quite sure what kind of PSI it's running, but probably 40 or 50 PSI. So I'll be looking for leaks on the fuel rail and at the injectors and all of those spots. All right, that's about 2 gallons or so. Let me see if the fuel gauge picks up anything. It says, that it has some fuel. Yes, the fuel gauge moves, and it went up to about 1/8 of a tank, just under 1/4 of a tank, which should be more than enough to see if we can't get this to bark a little bit. Okay, that. All right, let me get organized here, and then we're going to try it. Okay, I've got not one, but 2 fire extinguishers, because they're both about 20 years old, and so who knows, they work. All right, for this part of the process, I've got the battery hooked up to an ignition switch override, so I don't have to be in the car. I'm going to put the key on, and I'm going to cycle it and see if anything happens. Any fuel, signs of fuel pressure or anything like that. Key is on, and here we go. I don't see any leaks. I'm going to try the timing, a couple different directions here. All right. See if I can tell if there's fuel pressure in it. Yeah, the fuel pump's running, and I could feel pressure in that hose. I'm going to put a jump pack on it, and I might spray just a little bit of starting fluid into the intake there and see if that helps. Okay, I got the jump pack on, and I hate to do this, but opened up the valve there. Here we go. Keys on. Oop, backfire. Nothing yet. Did get one backfire. So I think the timing is good on it. I set everything up according to specs. When I open this, I hear the fuel pump run, which it's supposed to do. Oop, backfire. I set the timing. I do see a leaky fuel injector now. Yep, the fuel rail is leaking a little bit. It's not too bad, it's just a little moist. That tells me at least fuel's getting to the injectors. I'm just gonna try maybe once or twice, and then I'm probably gonna pull the plugs and see, make sure everything looks good. Yeah, definitely some leaking going on the fuel rail. It's a little slow drip. So I'm going to pause and think this over for a little bit and then come back to it. So let me get you in here and show you what's going on. All the old fuel injection lines are very dry, and you can see moisture there, and there's actually quite a bit of gas dumping right onto the exhaust manifold. So that's not a good sign for today. I'm going to have to research on the feasibility of replacing all those hoses on the injectors, or do I do what I wanted to do, which is eliminate all this fuel injection and go to a Weber, either a dual Weber or a single Weber carburetor. So let me think on that, and I'll be back. All right, I'm back and I have updates. So after looking at it, I could tell it's really leaking bad. I mean, the whole entire back of the engine, the exhaust manifold is dripping in gas. Those rubber lines are just, I mean, 1980 to 2026. That's almost 50 years old, 46 years old. And I knew it when I was putting the engine together. I looked at them and I said, you know, in fact, I ordered the kit. Let me grab it. I ordered the kit to rebuild the fuel injection rail lines, and basically it's involved because the factory fittings are press fit and these are just hose clamps. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to do it right. This top unit comes out. It's not too bad of a job. Then I can inspect all the injectors, put new hoses on, and before this thing lights up in a ball of fire, let's do that right. So I will be back with updates once I get there. But the good news is I've got starter, I've got spark. I know the timing is right. I think it's a matter of either the fuel injectors are not working, they're not firing. So I could test all that and just make sure. And then if that doesn't work, out comes all this stuff, and in goes a nice, simple Weber carburetor, which is what I really want to do, I'll be honest, just for the sake of simplicity. But I thought I'd at least give it a shot with this old system and see if I couldn't get it to fire off. So more to come on this project. I'll keep you updated, and we'll be talking soon. All right, I took that off, and you can get a better view now. So this is basically just that manifold sitting off to the side, and you can see what's going on here. That whole rail leaking. So I'm going to carefully take it apart, take all the injectors out, and do this the right way. Go online and do some research on it as well. But I got to get some of this gas stopped from dripping, smelling up the whole neighborhood. These come out pretty easy. I mean, basically each one of the injectors has, can you see what I'm doing here? Each one of the injectors has two little Allen screws holding it in. And I'm curious what I'm going to see when I get this out. Feel how dirty they look. All right, I got the rail out and all the injectors out, and you can see that one. Let's get some good light on here. I'm not sure that one's firing. That one looks like it was firing. That one looks like it was firing. That one maybe not. And I'm just basing that on cleanliness. But what I'll do is I'll clean them all, replace the hoses, and see how hard it is to rebuild this thing. All right, so last few updates. Yesterday, played around with the Fiat for a little bit longer, cranked it a bunch of times, but the fuel leaking was just really bad. The gas, pretty much every hose on the on the fuel injection system is shot. So then last night I did some looking up, and the parts for the injectors and the control module and the airflow meter and everything is so expensive. Then I happened to notice that there was a sale going on at one of the Fiat places on a full Weber dual carb kit. So I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to eliminate all the electronics, eliminate all of the complexity of a 40-plus-year-old fuel injection system with computers and all that, and go to dual Weber. So those are on order. So in the meantime, you can see I've got the car on the lift. I'm going to focus on brakes, master cylinder, clutch, master cylinder. Got it on the lift, got it all jacked up. Seems like every car I own ends up in this position. But I'll show you, this is the old fuel injection system, and just everything is so shot that I think that even if I were to rebuild all this, then another component would fail, and then another component would fail, and before you know it, I'd have a couple thousand in it. I did talk to another guy on YouTube who did the Weber conversion, and he's really happy with it. It's basically a dual Weber setup. I did the same setup on our Datsun 280Z or 240Z that my son is putting together. We'll show a video on that car. It's pretty cool. It's actually triple Webers for a 6-cylinder. Really runs great. This will be a dual Weber. And I'll probably put all these parts on eBay and see if somebody wants them. So more to come soon. I think we're going to switch over to brakes for right now. I'll post some little shorts on the brakes because they're pretty straightforward. 4-wheel disc. I have new calipers. I'm just going to clean up these rotors. They just need a good cleaning. And we'll get this ready for when the dual carbs are in, then we will be driving it. So more to come, and we'll be in touch soon. All right, mission accomplished. I got rid of all the stuff that was great in its day, but 1981 to 2026, that's, let's see, 45 years later, just too many things that are going wrong. These were leaking. I don't know about the air meter or the control module. But what's really nice now is really clean engine compartment. Very easy to get in. Everything is accessible. A lot more space, a lot less wires. So I've got it ready to install the new intake manifold. And I've got the fuel pump down below. I got a 3 PSI. It's actually 2.5 to 3.5 PSI electric fuel pump. I'm just playing with the timing. Just make sure I can install the new distributor right away, put the new intake in, and see how it runs with dual Weber carburetors. Well, I did it. I got all the parts that I need to do the carb swap. So first thing, kind of the foundation, is an intake manifold. I got this from Pierce Manifolds. I've used them before for Datsun 280Z as well as a Volvo 240. And they do a really nice job. They've got a great inventory. They send the products out very quickly. And with that kit also came the Weberator carbs. So you can see these beautiful things. Not one, but 2 of those. And these are Weber brand, made in Spain. They are 40 DCOE. They come in different sizes, and that's really cool. See, beautiful. Also, because I eliminated the ECU, I also got a good upgrade distributor that has the ignition module built onto it to eliminate the need for having a separate ignition module and a coil that is mated to that. So what I want to do now is start assemble all this, and let's see if we can get this car running today. All right, so out of the box, fit was a little tight on the ears that goes onto the studs of the manifold. So just very carefully doing a little bit of precision Dremel tool action here. Again, we're talking about what's the smallest number? Like tiny, tiny amounts, hundredths, just to make it fit in there nice. Should do it. It's been a little trial and error. I think I've been back and forth to the car about 6 times. Okay, I believe based on the last few attempts, this should slide right on. You can see there's 4 studs there that also hold the exhaust manifold. And you want to make sure that's got a nice fit with a very fresh gasket. Now I'm already seeing one issue that I'm going to run into is the thickness of the intake manifold is less than the thickness of the exhaust manifold, which is going to be a pain because I ran into this on other cars. We're going to have to do a step washer, and that might kill my project for today because I don't have any of those handy. So let me do a little research and see what I can come up with. All right, I got my shiny new headers, stainless steel, fitting them up through the bottom. I took the old system out, the old manifold out, and this routes up through like so. And I see problems already. Alternator is not lining up right. Huh. Might have to take the studs out of the head in order to make this work. So let me lower the lift and see what I got from on top. Well, that actually worked out a lot easier. I just swung the alternator out of the way and I was able to get the headers onto the studs without any issue, and then I'm going to be able to put the alternator back once I have everything buttoned up. So far, not too hard. This is why I hate headers, generally speaking. They never fit, and you're constantly doing geometric alterations with heat and hammers. So I'm heating up this spot because it doesn't clear the intake manifold, and we're going to get it to fit. But it always takes some sort of blasphemous hammering on the brand new beautiful header. All right, this hurts my soul to show you, but had to pound that in to get about 1/4 inch of clearance there, and then kind of same ugliness up here. I'm going to clean it up, obviously, but when they say fits great, say yeah, right. All right, we're back with Adventures with Fiats, and the last hour or so has been off camera because I've been using the hacksaw, the bandsaw, the grinder, the torch, which is outside, and I took the old header, which was just not going to clear no matter what I thought I was going to do. It was not going to clear. And I removed this feeble attempt at clearing enough to clear the intake manifold. And then out in the Back I found this old header from a Volkswagen Beetle. That's a whole other project. I'm never going to use this. It's not something I'm going to use. So I cut a piece off and did about 77.8 adjustments, cuts, grinding to fabricate this piece here, which once I carefully tack it into place, lines up perfectly. And then the intake manifold if you can see here, the intake manifold will now clear. Now obviously there's loose, so I gotta tighten things up, but I've got at least a ½ inch of clearance, where before I had a minus ½ inch of clearance, so I'm good with that. So I'm gonna take the header off, weld this piece in, and then scuff it up, probably hit it with a little bit of header paint, and I think we are past this major hurdle, which is 3 different companies making 3 different parts that don't interact with each other, needing modification. So we'll see what happens. All right, I know it's not good, but this header was on clearance and it didn't work, and now it may work. Well, I did get it Cerakoted, and by that I mean this flame-proof header paint that will literally burn off within 30 seconds of starting the car. But I think it's gonna work. And like I said, you know, it was a set that I got on a clearance situation, a couple different companies cobbled together some things, and it was not going to clear the intake manifold before, and now it will. So let's just see how it works out. So a few hours have gone by, and I have the dual carbs in. I could tell you these nuts here, real tough, real slow going to get them in, but starting to take form, and luckily there's an access panel here that allows me to get in from underneath. I do have some cutting I have to do in order to make clearance for the air box to come into basically into the trunk. So I think I'm going to put a bunch of rags on top of the carburetors and then cut this lip out to make room for the air horns. Well, good morning. It's a rainy Sunday, and the major update is if you see a fire extinguisher, that means it's time to try the first start. And usually it's a car like this one that hasn't run in many years, and things can go wrong, things can happen. So let me give you a quick update where we're at. I have the carbs in, the distributor in, I've got the fuel pump, fuel filter in, and no throttle linkage yet. It's going to be an act of geometric wizardry to get something that goes down this way when you pull the throttle this way. So there's going to be all kinds of linkages and doodads that make that happen. That's for a later date. I do not have the radiator or cooling fluid filled up yet. So we're just going to try and twist on the key and see if it fires, and wish me luck. So I muscled in the exhaust system. It's a stainless steel muffler. In this bracket here, I have to drill some bolt holes to mount it, but temporarily, just for the first start, I think it's fine. Now, before I started, let me tell you, I got about halfway into this and I realized I probably should have splurged for the updraft or downdraft carburetors. These side draft Webers are cool, but it did involve a lot of modification. As I showed you, I had to modify the header, and then I had to take the old Sawzall to the firewall here. Nobody really disclosed that in the YouTube videos that I've seen about these, but I guess I should have figured out that the clearance is pretty tight. Not the end of the world. I'm going to build, there is a plate that goes over here, and I'm just going to build a metal box that will allow it to breathe. And actually these cars came with a air blower that blew into the air filter, I believe. So I'll fabricate something on a later date. But for right now, pretend we didn't see that. And then one last thing I'll mention is I do not have the clutch master cylinder or the brake master cylinder. That is way underneath there. And I need to do some yoga classes before I do that. Probably going to do it off camera, because there's nothing fun about seeing me lie on my back for 3 hours swearing while I'm trying to get a clutch cylinder and a brake master cylinder. Other than that, once this thing runs, I can do the throttle, finish up a couple little things under the hood, fill it up with fluid, with cooling, with antifreeze, and the wheels and tires are down in the other shop. I just got to mount the tires, paint the wheels, and we'll be in business. But that's going to be part 2. So for part 1, what we're hoping to do is hear this thing fire off for the first time in over 20 years. And just in time to help with that,
just in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time is Nate, who you've met before. He's going to turn the key on it. That's all he really needs to do is get himself in that driver's seat and turn the key, and I'll do the timing and throttle from underneath the hood. All right, we're going to see what happens. All right, just turn the key, and if it starts, that's great. If it sounds horrible and I make screaming sounds, then turn off the key.
Okay.
Go ahead. Nothing?
Nothing.
Well, it started.
It's. Do you want me to turn it and hold it?
No. Just turn it, and then once it starts, let go.
Okay.
Like normal starting.
All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hold it. All right. I'm gonna think about this for a second.
Okay.
Huh.
I heard a little bit there.
Yeah, it's still acting really weird.
Is it flipped?
All right, come to find out, all the wires were backwards. All right, go ahead. Woo! 20 years it hasn't run. So I think that's where I'm going to end it. The first. So I think that's where I'm going to end this first part of the Fiat X1 revival. Not only does it run, I mean, listen to this. Perfect. It runs great. So I'm going to set it aside a little bit, take a little break from the Fiat, and come back to it to do all the finishing touches and get it on the road. So thanks for watching, and we'll be talking soon.